It is the first Tuesday afternoon coffee for ERN registries and EJP partners in order to tackle all the points that were identified in the previous first meeting with ERN registries. So we will have every Tuesday afternoon a thematic meeting like this one with invited guests and EJP people as well. So in order to answer all the ERN registries, data managers or holders questions. So the honor today is to have Adri, Simona, and team presenting the European platform on rare disease registration, and we will try to tackle all the questions that were held around that. And Yanis, I think you have record of those. So in case that there are remaining questions, I ask you please to ring after the ERDRI presentation. Okay, so Adri, is you presenting?
Yes, I will be presenting.
Okay, I let the floor to you.
Yes, thank you very much. You see, everybody sees the presentation then, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna. And I must say, we are very pleased to have this opportunity today to kick off the EJPRD coffee rounds. And also the opportunity to show you the functioning of the main elements of the European Rare Disease Registries infrastructure, ERDRI, which is part of the EURD platform. We've had the opportunity many times to present the EURD platform, but today we have this full opportunity to show you a bit more of a practical approach to the functioning of the ERDRI tools and what they offer to the rare disease registries. So just a bit of background for those who may be new or not so familiar yet with the EURD platform. The EURD platform was developed by the Joint Research Center in collaboration with our colleagues in DG Santé, with the objective to provide a central access point for information on rare disease patient registries for all stakeholders, to support new and existing registries in view of their interoperability, and provide IT tools to maintain data collections and host activities of surveillance networks. So first, just a few words about the main objective of the EURD platform, which is to cope with the enormous fragmentation of rare disease patients' data that are contained in hundreds of registries across Europe. The EURD platform aims to make rare disease registries data searchable and findable. And this will result to increase visibility for each registry and maximize the value of the information contained in each registry. Having said that, this will enable the extended use of and reuse of the registry's data. And this is ensured by this first block you see here, the European Rare Disease Registry Infrastructure, ERDRI, as I mentioned before, on one hand. And this is also supported by the second block that you see here, the European standards for data collection, data sharing. This is the second main part of the EURD platform. In addition to ERDRI, is the data repository that is composed of the rare disease registry data warehouse, which we are currently developing. And this is not for hosting patient data, but for collection of mainly specific aggregated data that can be used for epidemiological studies. Another part, the main part in this data repository are two central registries, one on congenital anomalies, EUROCAT, and one on cerebral palsy. So I will now focus on the part of ERDRI that deals with the provision of guidelines and standards to the rare disease registry community. The set of common data elements for rare disease registration is actually the first practical tool that has been released a while back by the ERDRI platform, and it aims to increase the interoperability between rare disease registries. You can see here that this set of data, common data elements, contains 16 data elements divided in 8 sections. These, I go back and forth on 2 pages to show you all of them. These contain these are elements that are considered essential for further research from the information contained in the registries, and they refer to patients' personal data, diagnosis, disease history, care pathway information regarding release of information for research purposes, and one last section on disability. So the set of common data elements can be used in 2 ways. It can be consulted statically through a PDF format on our website, and it's available in 22 EU official languages. It can also be imported into, we will see a bit later when I talk about the metadata repository, but it can be imported into one registry's space directly from the central metadata repository. And this brings me to speak a bit more about the domain specific common data elements very briefly, because this is work in progress. This is work that we are doing in common with the JRC, in common with the ERN Registry Task Force and the EJPRD Interoperability Focus Group. So as I said, this is very recently there have been meetings on this, and this is work in progress. Hopefully we will end up with a meaningful extended set of common data sets that can be useful for the ERNs, all registries, but especially to respond to the research needs of the ERNs. So let's see now, we pass in the main part of this presentation, which is the main components, to present you a bit more about the main components of the ERDRI, which are 3. This is the European Directory of Registries, we call it ERDRI DOR, the Central Metadata Repository, ERDRI MDR, and the Pseudonymization Tool. The first 2 were developed in collaboration with the University of Frankfurt, and the Pseudonymization Tool, it is a tool provided through a collaboration with the Austrian Institute of Technology. So I will not say more about these tools, as I will detail them in a minute, one by one. I just want to say a few general characteristics of ERDRI. So ERDRI operates on 2 main principles. First, it ensures discoverability of data from participating registries through an ERDRI search tool, and at the same time it ensures that registries remain owners of their data, and registry owners decide on the reuse of their patient data. So having said that, one can wonder, why should we join ERDRI? First, in order to let know others where you are as a registry. So having this data in one place, it will make it possible to use the data in order to advance knowledge on rare diseases through obviously enabling basic research, improving therapies, promoting epidemiological studies, and also promoting health and social policies at the EU level. So I think one thing that has been requested probably through the EJP and through the ERNs has been to understand how one can join ERDRI, how one can access ERDRI. And this is a schema that shows you that we have 3 different types of users here. The first one you see in the first block is the unidentified user, and this is a user that can access ERDRI DOOR and ERDRI MDR, but with restriction on registry's details. Should this user wish to see full details of the registries in the directory of registry and in the central metadata repository, then the person becomes a reader user, and this will be possible only through authentication through EU login. So, however, if one wishes to contribute to ERDRI with the metadata of his or her registry, this person needs to become a verified user, and this happens through the verification form that I know some of you in the ERNs have already used, because we have more and more registries joining ERDRI, and this verification form is submitted, and authorization is given by the ERDRI managers, the ERDRI help desk, through a confirmation also with an email and instructions, specific instructions of how they should go about starting this process in the directory of registries and in the MDR. So practically, what does this mean? The access is done through this page. I have put the link up there, and this is basically the description page of the ERDRI from that first block that you've seen before. And here you can access the tools that I just mentioned through this yellow button. So if you decide, so you will be prompted to make a choice here when you come to these ERDRI terms and conditions. If you choose to accept the terms of use only, this means that you will browse anonymously, and you will be user case number 1. It means that you will not have access to all the details, the first case that I mentioned earlier. Should you also accept the privacy statement, you will proceed and log in, and you will be user reader. You will have access to all the details in the directory of registries and MDR, and this will necessitate the use of the EU login. So this is how it will look like. You will need to authenticate yourself through the EU login. And I was saying that if you don't have a EU login, it's very easy to to obtain one, as you can see here with this red arrow on this schema here, and it's very easy. Everybody in the world can get an EU login password. So should you, however, want to become a contributor to ERDRI, be able to insert information in the directory of registries and in the metadata repository, you will be asked to fill in this verification form and become a verified user. This form contains information, just very general information about your registry, the responsible of the registry, some information about the name of the registry, your position in this registry, and a free text box where you can describe what you need, because if you are because you might need this for particular purposes, add users or whatever. So I will explain a bit later that this verification form may come back over and over again for different users in one registry. I now want to go back to explain to you a bit more about the first core tool of the ERDRI, which is the European Directory of Registries. The European Directory of Rare Disease Registries is essentially a list of participating registries and their main characteristics and description. These are descriptive metadata. And they're provided for every registry in an organized in 8 different sections that we will see in a minute, with a total of 38 characteristics, 23 of which are obligatory. These fields contain information that we will see again in detail in a minute, such as the scope of the registry, the rare disease, the operating institution, the number of data elements, etc. So I have some screenshots so we don't go back and forth online. I was fearing this, so I think that they're quite clear. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yes. Okay. Sorry, I heard something and I thought I was lost again. Once a verified user wants to introduce this data in ERDRI door, then this is how it will look like. They will have to log in on the top right corner of the screen. They will have to be logged in with their EU login, and they will click on what you see there in red, add registry. After accepting this privacy statement, you will be prompted to this series of characteristics, the different sections that I mentioned earlier, and you will be asked to fill in these fields. The ones with the red asterisks are the obligatory, and these concern the name of the registry, as you see here, the acronym, the medical area of the registry that the registry deals with, the type of registry with the different options you see here, whether the registry belongs to a particular ERN, or the ERNs will be listed here, or as member of EuroCAT, we have particular choice here for EuroCAT, as is a big network, and some description of your registry and the website of the registry if there is one. So the second part of the form involves entering the rare diseases addressed by the registry. Using the search box, you can find the diseases by their names, if it's simple, if it's only one disease or two, but otherwise the input by ORFA code is there, and it can be used to add a large number of diseases by the ORFA code, which facilitates the input. The third part involves entering information about the structure of the registry. This includes the recruitment area, whether the registry is regional, national, international, the country of recruitment, the start and end dates of recruitment, because we also have some registries, maybe they have closed down, they were there and there's valuable information there, so why not? And the current number of recruited cases, the sources of the registry data, the data elements collected, which is very important, and the software used. In the fourth part that we see here, there's the registry information is requested, and here the institution's name, department, even address is required. In the fifth part, you will see details about the responsible of the registry, and this is the person who will be eventually contacted for releasing any data, because the data, as we've seen, remains obviously with the registry, and the reuse of the data is obviously up to the responsible of the registry, and this is the name that should be recorded here. So the final part of the ERDRI door form is contains information on the pseudonymization tool. This will become clear later on when I talk about UPIN. Here you're requested to give a short name of the registry that will be used to create the context for UPID, and an extended name of the registry. The last two blocks concern information on participation of the registry in biobanks, and contains also additional fields that can be added on, additional components that maybe they do not belong, they do not figure here in this form, but maybe they're important to signal. So there is the opportunity to put even more information than the one already provided here. By experience, users find it quite straightforward to fill in the directory of registry. And just want to say that the person who enters the data to begin with, the first verified user who will enter here will become the owner of the registry, and there's no additional person who we can always change, because people move jobs and etc. But this person, it could be a data manager, this person becomes the owner, and it cannot be shared, let's say, this task of changing information in DOR, which is something that we will ask you to do yearly, because obviously some of the data that I mentioned, like number of cases, maybe the diseases, maybe the responsible of the registry may change. So this is information, and our aim is to have the registries become owners of this data. The ownership of the data here is very important for us, because it's we want the registries to be participants in this whole process, not just us entering the information, which we will never get it right, or only the registry owners can do this in the most efficient way. This is the entrance screen of the ERDRI door. I'm showing you this. Probably you will go here before you go to the entering the information, but I'm showing it now just to show you how the search is performed as well. This is what people see when they want to just see information about what's contained in ERDRI door. You have the European Union map, Europe map in the middle, and the map is clickable. We have a list all function here, and you can see all the registries. If you're logged in and you go on your registry, you will see the line that contains your registry. If you are you have a registry in ERDRI, you will see that you can edit there. So this is how you can change the information contained there. And you can do this as many times as you want. We have a search function that allows you to search by the name of the registry, the responsible of the registry, the type of registry, the rare disease, the country of the registry, the year of recruitment, and some other information, or the last time it was edited. This information is quite. It's not all the fields in DOR, but it's quite complex already. You can find many registries like this. And one thing that I want to mention is that the ERN, because I know there are many people from the ERNs today, they have the application to introduce also the registries under their central registries that contain within the ERN in ERDRI or ERDRI MDR. So we have an ongoing campaign, and this is also a call that I launched today. Please join the ERDRI, the ERDRI platform by entering your information, starting from the directory of registries, as I have just shown you. So let's move on to the second main tool, main element of ERDRI, which is the central metadata repository, ERDRI MDR we call it for short, and MDR is focuses on the collection of all data elements that are collected by the participating registries, the structured metadata. This means their designation, definition, measurement units, and range. This is a core part of ERDRI. It assures the semantic interoperability as it aims in providing common definitions for the data elements in a way to understand the same language between the data providers and the data users, and aims to act as a thesaurus for the terms used by the participating registries in a common format. So ERDRI MDR can also be used when we are building a registry, or when a registry wants to amplify their data scheme, for example, or see what's going on in similar registries as theirs. It implements, so basically the registries can pull out metadata that are contained in other registries, and or look, as we will see a bit later, look for data elements that are used maybe also in their registries in order to see how they are coded maybe by others, etc. So it implements the set of common data elements, and in the future it will host the domain-specific common data elements, as I mentioned earlier. So how do we go about introducing the data elements? Here are some screenshots on how this is done. Just to say that this, once one registry has completed the introduction of the descriptive metadata in ERDRI, the administration of ERDRI will create a corresponding namespace. This is how we call it in the MDR, a namespace for the corresponding registry. Here you can see a list of registries. As you can see in the top left corner, this is a demo site. It's not just for demonstration that I'm doing now. This is how we do it, because we create the namespace for the registry to work in this demo, which is a parallel MDR, in order to avoid mistakes, to repair mistakes with data elements once they are validated and published in the production MDR. It is a very simple process to transfer them to the production MDR, and this is why we do it here. Here we can find I don't know if you see my browser. If you can find your namespace by clicking on view, and you can have, for example, I said earlier that in ERDRI the person entering the metadata, the descriptive metadata for the registry is the owner of the registry, and this is the only person who can change. Here, we can have more than one contributors. The owner of the registry is a contributor, but we can have additional permissions for verified users. Once they fill out the verification form, they can be assigned to a particular namespace, either by us or by the... Okay, so here I was saying that contrary to what I said earlier about ERDRI DOOR, the owner of the registry, where the owner of the registry is the only person who can change information in the directory of registries, here in the metadata repository, we can have additional verified users as contributors to the MDR. So this can be done either by us, but the owner of the registry can also add new permissions for verified users. So I said, if somebody wants to have another user contributing, they have to fill out, as I mentioned earlier, the verification form, tell us that they belong to the same registry, and we will add them on. So this can be very useful. So this is how it will look like when you try to enter your data elements into MDR. You will have to click on New. This will give you the opportunity to either introduce a new data element or other features that we will touch upon very, very slightly, but I will explain a bit later. So for a new element, we have new element. This is a drop-down menu that you see when you click on new. And for example, I made an element that here the age of the mother. So here in designation, you will have the field designation, which is a short name for the data element, the definition which describes the data element. And here we have the language. As you can see here is English. English is obligatory, but you can add a new definition with a new language. You can define also in different languages if you have this information. But English is essential in order to have a common understanding. So the next step in the process you see here is validation. And with validation, it means that you will have to choose all the list of permitted values, which can be integer, can be floating value, Boolean, or string, date, time, etc. And in this case, it's an integer, and you define the boundaries as seen here, and the unit of measurement. So completed years. Here you can also define slots. The slots are supposed to be there are key value pairs that can be defined, and they're supposed to be necessary values, but they cannot be defined in the previous screens that I have shown you. So, for example, here I put data source external registry as a value. So you can define a series of additional slots that are important for these key value pairs that are important for your registry by adding more slots. So the next step is that you have this this element released. I think somehow I skipped the verification page. But anyway, it's you have a page that asks you to verify your data elements and your data element introduced, and then you have this release page, and now you have your data element released. Here I have released it in a namespace. You are supposed to choose a namespace to release this in, and this was test Adri. So you can see here that you also have this this menu here that allows you to edit before release, or you can use them as templates even after their release. Templates to do other elements. So you can use the same and modify. If you have the same type of elements, you don't need to start from scratch. The elements can be copied from one namespace to another, and this is what I mentioned earlier with the set of common data elements. This is how you can draw in your namespace the set of common data elements. You don't have to define them yourself, because if you're following the definitions that we have provided in the set of common data elements, you will not need to do that. So one word about the search function of the MDR. I have made the search with the word word malformation, and here you can get, for example, and you can search either elements, namespaces in data elements groups or records, whether they have been released, outdated, or in draft, and you can see all the registries that contain the elements that are related to malformation. This is I've shown you the search functions of the directory of registry and of the central metadata repository. I just want to say that we are working on the ERDRI search function, the global ERDRI search function, that will be able to put the two together, and this will make the search a lot more powerful. For example, finding an element in a registry in Germany or in one particular country with a specific number of cases, or with a specific status of patients. So it will be a lot more powerful than just the two separately. So we are working on that. Regarding one last word about this, the MDR, the more data elements that are created in the namespace, it becomes more difficult to keep an overview of them. So to simplify, the data elements can be structured hierarchically by creating data element groups, as I mentioned earlier. And this is done in the same way as the data elements, where designation and definition can be defined. And finally, the desired data elements can be stored in this group. Do you hear me? Okay. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, yes. Sorry, yes. I heard something and I thought I lost you. Okay, so now last but not least, we go on to the last main tool we offer through ERDRI, which is the pseudonymization tool. This is a service offering the participating registries a solution to pseudonymize patients. And this tool, as I mentioned earlier, is offered through a collaboration with the Austrian Institute of Technology. The interoperability that is offered through the European Patient Identity UPID is of great value because it can ensure prevention of duplicate registration of patients, provide distinct pseudonyms for patients in different contexts, and preserve the possibility for a re-identification by a third trusted party. We offer this tool to all the registries joining the ERDRI platform in ERDRI DOOR and MDR through a dedicated license that we have. Now, I want to say a few things about the access to UPID registration. How can this be done? The users can be different than those inputting data in ERDRI DOOR and MDR. If so, they need to be identified as verified users, as I explained earlier, in a similar with a similar form. And associated with a UPID context specific to a registry. And this is what I explained earlier about those fields that are related to UPID in ERDRI DOOR. This is what they are useful for in order to assign a registry in a specific context for that registry to be used for the registration and the performance of the pseudonymization. So the pseudonymization service can be accessed through ERDRI in 3 different ways. The first one is a single patient pseudonymization. We have a demo and I will show you how this works. When you start pseudonymizing patients, it's for real, and you cannot just try out because this is how this system works. We have created this demo in order to show how the characteristics of this pseudonymization tool. The second way of the possibility of pseudonymizing is performing a bulk patient pseudonymization, and this can be done through a dedicated software that allows registries participating into ERDRI to create multiple pseudonyms in one go. And the software will be downloadable from the ERDRI with an ERDRI-mediated link between the registry and the UPID services. The software expects a CSV file as input, and it returns a list of pseudonyms. And this will be available quite soon through our website.
Andri, excuse me for interrupting you. So it's because of time management. So we plan to have 1 hour. So we're about 1 hour now. So I just want to ask the audience and you and yourself if you agree to stay for, I don't know, half an hour more or 20 minutes more, in order that you can also answer the questions, because we have compiled several questions already. And for your information, and I think that maybe you haven't seen the mail, there is another Tuesday coffee session on UPID also foreseen. So I let you manage if you want to quickly complete your presentation, and then we go for the questions. Yes. But everybody agrees to stay a little bit more, and yourself, Andri?
Yes, for myself, is absolutely no problem at all.
Yeah, I think it's important that people
Thank
get the
you so
answers.
much.
Yes. And for me, it's not a problem at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I see, I just checked the time. It's true that the time is running. It's and thank you for letting me know that there's another coffee session on UPIT because of this last part here that I'm mentioning. This is the third way. I don't have that many slides left. Very few. It's the screens about the demo, but this can be explained by Mikael when he's doing his coffee in the next weeks or so. The third way is an ERDRI mediated link between the registry and the UPIT services. This means that to incorporate UPIT directly in one registry's software, so that when you enter a name, when you're sitting and you're registering a patient in your registry, you get immediately the pseudonym. This is not a simple matter, and definitely is not me who can explain it in technical terms. So we know who can do this. It's Mikael Nitzellader, who can explain all the details about this, and we are working with several ERNs right now on providing this together with Mikael. This in this last option, the consumer ID will be matched with the registry's context in ERDRI. So we will be the offer of the pseudonymization tool is always through ERDRI, and we make sure we keep track of all the registries and the users within ERDRI, even with this last option. So here is a schema that presents these options, but it will be just a repeat of what I have just said. So I will skip through it. We can share the presentation. You can see this eventually. And I just want to show you very quickly how the single pseudonymization will work. We have two different contexts. One is called demo 1 and the other one demo 2. And then when you are a verified user to do pseudonymization, you need to go in this page and you choose your context. And your context should be the information that you have provided in the DOR earlier. So you choose your demo, your context, and the data you need to introduce to get a pseudonym is 3: the first name, the last name, and the date of birth of the patient. So you can get a pseudonym, but just to show you the different cases, for example, we have one patient here, John Smith, date of birth, and you get a pseudonym. The pseudonym here is with this number letter combination. So if you try to register the patient again, you get a full match. So and you get the existing pseudonym. You're informed of the existing pseudonym. If you have a phonetic match or a typing error, you get a warning that there's a partial match, and that you can decide yourself whether there's typing errors or it's a different patient. So you can go ahead to register or not the patient. So, but if you have the same patient in different context, you get a new pseudonym. It tells you that there's a full match in a different context. You get a new pseudonym, but you're warned that this patient exists with a different pseudonym in another context. So for this, I just want to say that merging data from different contexts is possible, and we are working together with the AIT on the data transition and data linkage services that we can provide. I mentioned this earlier, re-identification of UPIT patients by trusted third parties is possible. So that's it. I finished. As you said, it has already been long, but the tools are what they are, and I think this is like a mini training of how one can use the tools and what the ERDRI is about. Thank you very much.